Hello there and welcome to the June garden. Oh my gosh, we are getting here to the end of the month and the garden is just looking so full. We have so much blooming, there's pollinators everywhere, the beginnings of the first harvests and fruit. So I want to take you through and we're going to talk about every single bed and every single plant that I've got out here and how everything is doing overall. You can see that this garden has really started to come to life, and given that when we began it was just an empty blank piece of concrete, every month I feel more and more proud at how much is growing out here. So I'm going to start in one of my favorite containers for this video, and that is my pumpkin container, because you have to see this pumpkin. Okay, so this is the fun little fall, sort of fall crops themed container. Let me give you the big overview look. And it's got corn. We've got Aunt Molly's ground cherries. This is the, we have two kinds of corn in here actually. We have the Bloody Butcher corn, which is a little bit younger, so that's kind of a bit smaller around the outside. And then this is actually broom corn in the middle. So this is gonna be, I'm actually kind of curious how tall this is gonna end up getting, but it's gonna have these really pretty frilly like blooms at the top, I guess, essentially. What they make broom corn out of. And growing in through it is the Aunt Molly's ground cherries, which are starting to bloom. I wanted the corn to act as a little support for the ground cherries, and it's working really well. The ground cherries do okay in kind of this like part shade situation. As you can see, they're growing beautifully. They look really healthy. So they're not bothered by whatever shade that the corn is casting on them. And it's actually giving them all the support that they need, so I don't even have to stake them. And they're gonna be putting off fruit soon. So this is gonna be really, really fun. And it just looks beautiful, and the corn is gorgeous, and the whole container I think is really looking pretty lovely. And then the pumpkin now, I just clipped off a few leaves off of it, but it's got a big old vine and it's heading out of the container, and I'm just gonna let it fill up this entire area. It can just trail and fill that up as much as possible. There's a ton of blooms on here, so I'm hoping we're gonna get these warty thing pumpkins. They're gonna be big and orange and covered in all those little, like, you know, warty shapes. It's gonna be so cute. And look what a serious stem this thing has. I mean, these are, I don't know if you can tell, like, size perspective. It's gonna be a big plant, but it's gonna be really, really fun. Next to it, I've got a little bit chewed up, but some sunflowers, gold coin sunflowers, and then one of my favorite containers, the absolutely so fun hanging basket that is now just resting on a pot, so it's more just a container, but we've got these beautiful petunias that are just lovely. And I think I remembered, yes, I remembered to put tags, leave the tags with the containers this year. So this is the Jewel Midnight Gold petunia. Oh, it's so stunning. It's beautiful up close, it's beautiful from far away, it's so gorgeous. And I paired it with some white lantanas. There's an apricot agastaki, blueberry muffin petunias, which are also equally gorgeous. And the purple with the kind of like this blushy apricot mango color. I love it, I love it, I love it. It's it's getting more and more full and beautiful, and just by the day it gets more and more gorgeous. And there is also a lime, sweetheart lime, I believe, potato vine in here too. Next to it, of course, the pink petunias are just kind of hanging on, doing their thing. They've stayed really small and compact, but I kind of like that. And then, of course, the Dreamsicle Super Bells. And I did just cut back this Salvia the other night, so I'm hoping, you can see there's some little buds. I'm hoping these will all flush back out and we'll get like a second round of blooms, because the combination of this very, very blue purple, I mean, it's definitely purple, but it's almost blue. It's gorgeous. Next to the orange has just been such a pretty color combination, and I actually love it with the pink next to it too. I think the three of these colors look really beautiful, and they kind of contrast the more muted tones over here. But I don't know, I've just been liking this whole little area. I think it's super fun and lush, and it's doing sort of the perfect container garden thing. I also have a clematis. This is the Stillwater clematis, which the leaves look a little sad, but their seed pods are really pretty. And a lot of people that come and visit the garden notice these and really like them. So it's serving a purpose too. And of course it adds just a nice little bit of height here. So this like whole little area right here is so fun and just really beautiful. And then the kitchen garden bed is also doing really well. I had to cut back the Swiss chard, but it's sort of starting to come back up. And it doesn't even really matter if it does, because look at how many flowers are on this eggplant. This is a Japanese eggplant. We've got one in here, and look at all these flowers. There are just flowers everywhere. Beautiful, big, beautiful plant. The gorgeous stem, it's doing so well. It's so healthy, and it's really a good center to the bed. And then the salad bush cucumbers are starting to tumble off the side of the raised bed, which is what I was hoping for. I love this look of them kind of falling over the bed, spilling out, and they are just covered in blooms. We're gonna have so many cucumbers. I'm so excited. These have just little baby fruit everywhere, and they haven't started to fully produce yet, but with all these little small cucumber fruits, I know that it's, you know, any day now we're gonna start getting big cucumber harvest. And that's what's so great about this salad bush variety, is they just produce so much. There's just cucumber blossoms all over these plants. Look at that. Look at them just spilling out. And then of course the zinnias started blooming, and they are so pretty. And nothing is more classic garden than some zinnias. And these are cosmos, so these will start blooming too here, and we'll have zinnias and cosmos, and that'll really look just like the perfect kitchen garden-y look. The chives are doing nice. I've harvested some of these. I need to start using more chives in my recipes. And the green onions are getting big over here too. They're a little bit like fighting for space. I probably should prune it back this eggplant just a little bit, because the eggplant's wanting to come in here, but they are starting to almost get to the size where I can start using those scallions. And then down here, we've got strawberries, and I just saw the other day, here we are, there's some strawberries fruiting up. So these are an ever-bearing variety, and we should be getting more strawberries on them. I am hoping. They're sending off a few runners, which I've been kind of just clipping back, but yeah, at least we're gonna be getting a few strawberries there. That looks really nice. And the basil is doing great. The biggest addition that I added to this bed since the last garden tour is I did add a trellis here for the tomatoes. The Roma tomatoes were starting to get really jam-packed, and so you probably saw in my last vlog, I went ahead and thinned them out a little bit, and now I'm training them up this trellis system, and that will hopefully give a little bit more room for the basil. But we've actually been harvesting a ton of basil. It looks really cramped in here. There's more zinnias, little yellow one, which I just love, and some buds over here on the cosmos. But actually I've been harvesting a ton of basil, so that's been really productive. Been trimming it back a ton. There are a bunch of Roma tomatoes forming on this plant. You can see they're all in there. So now, since I trimmed it, I'll actually be able to have access to that, and that'll be really great. And then the Lunchbox peppers are starting to color up. You can see the first little tones, first little bit of coloring up, and they are going to be orange. So I'm just waiting, you know, we'll just keep waiting until they turn orange, but the plant is covered with blooms. And again, it was getting a little crowded out by the tomato here. Now that the tomato is like in the trellis system, I think it's gonna just give the pepper a bit more space, which will be good. But it seems happy, and it's kind of spilling out the side of the container, which was also a look that I was really going for. I really wanted it to kind of spill and fall off the container. I thought that would be really pretty. And then this pot is basically done. We've got oregano, and actually this is a volunteer mint, so I'm gonna move these probably to a different container, and then maybe I'll just reuse this container. But the little Napoli tomato is done, and this is what happens with these little container style determinate tomatoes. they grow to a certain height, they produce all of the tomatoes that they are going to produce, and then they are done for the season. And so then you need to switch them out. They're not like the indeterminate tomatoes. With the indeterminate tomatoes, they are going to just keep growing and growing and growing, and the vines get as big and huge as they possibly can. With the determinate styles, they're going to reach their maturity, produce all the fruit they're going to produce, and then they're going to die. So that's kind of what's happened with this little Napoli tomato plant, and that's fine. But that container is just going to be, we'll be done with that. I'll probably reuse the little petunias that are in here. And yeah, that little Napoli plant, it produced a decent amount of tomatoes, but it never really looked fully happy. So I'm not sure what the deal with it was, but whatever. We'll plant more containers, and that's always fun for me. I love that. Okay, we're just gonna work our way this way around the garden. Let's stop and admire sunflowers. Who doesn't love a sunflower with amaranth? Oh my gosh, this Sunfinity sunflower is stunning. It's just wilting ever so slightly because we're out here in the middle of the day, but I will water this and it will perk back up and be totally happy. But it's just so covered. Again, let me step back and let me give you the full effect of this container. Is that not awesome? Oh my gosh, the amaranth is huge. Ah, bee just ran into my arm. The amaranth is huge. I'm gonna put you to get some size perspective for how massive this amaranth is. It's stunning. I love it. Autumn torch, amaranth, Sunfinity, sunflowers, incredible combination. And then we got some coleus in here, which is starting to do its thing and kind of take off and grow. And the millionaire kufia is looking so beautiful. I just showed this the other day too, and I was like, this combination for this 4th of July kind of season, perfection. People call this firecracker plant, so it is kind of perfect for this time of year, but that plant is getting humongous. It's also just really growing. And then we've got it next to the beautiful pincushion flower here. This is a Flutter Deep Blue pincushion flower. Really stunning. And then this is a Ruby Slipper coleus. So very dark red, really gonna just keep growing, I think. And by the time we get to the real fall season, this coleus is gonna be a big part of this container. But the Flutter Deep Blue pincushion flower is just so beautiful, and the pollinators really love it. It's really a favorite. I've been picking it and bringing it inside, and it's a great cut flower. So long lasting and so sweet, just like in a little bud vase, 1 or 2 blooms. Such a beautiful flower to use inside. So gorgeous. I haven't cut any of the sunflowers to bring in yet, although I'm thinking I should. Some of these stems, if there's any, maybe once like this flower starts blooming, then I'll cut it. I've just so far been leaving it all out here in the garden because it's so pretty. I don't have a heart to bring it in yet. And I've got a bloody butcher corn in here. Or is this might be broom corn actually. And then over here, we have got another really stunning salvia. Oh my gosh, just the longest bloom stalks you've ever seen. Really pretty, actually. I like the 2 different tones of blue. Let me see if I can get the plant tag. I just want to remind myself. Yep, Mystic Spires. This is the Mystic Spires salvia. It is so incredible. This bloom stalk has been blooming and full and just growing for like at least over a month. But I love this combination of like the blues, blue purple. I think it looks really pretty together. And then of course I paired this blue salvia with another one of the Dreamsicle Super Bells, which is just the color combination. The rusty yellowy orange with the blue, I love that combination. And the Linaria that I had in here died, but then I went ahead and I'm gonna end up popping this in. I just haven't yet. I got a little basil plant. I'm gonna end up putting that basil in there with the salvia and everything, just to kind of take the place of the Linaria. And I just basically wanted some more basil in the garden, so I thought that was a good spot. I want to be able to make some pesto, and I just feel like I need a little bit more. A couple more basil plants would be good to just have like a ton of basil, so we'll put that in there. This container has a volunteer corn, and then we are waiting for a black-eyed Susan vine. Actually, see one of the little leaves has popped up, or not leaves, the little seeds have popped up here. Black-eyed Susan vine just take a little while to germinate, so you know, like 2 to 3 weeks. So we're not worried yet. and I'm going to be patient. I'm telling myself I'm going to be patient. We are not going to rush this guy. But the little, I'll leave the corn that's growing in there too, because why not? I'm assuming this is probably like a broom corn. I don't know what it is. It volunteered. I don't get that many volunteers in my brand new garden. This is my first year, if you are new, gardening in this space. So the fact that I got a volunteer in one of the pots probably just means that I like accidentally spilled seeds somehow. And that's why that's in there, but that's okay. I'm just gonna wait, and then I'm probably gonna let the black-eyed Susan vine maybe grow up the arch trellis or something. I haven't quite decided fully on where it's gonna end up. Good news, if you have been following this gorgeous color blaze albrito coleus, I put it over here so it could get a little bit of shade from the sunflowers, and it's working. The plant is looking much happier, and the little nasturtiums, there's jewel mix and Alaska nasturtiums growing underneath it. Perfect plant combination. These seeds are just the right size. They're growing beautifully right next to the coleus. I love this mix of textures and leaf shapes and colors. I think it's really pretty together. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm just trying to figure out the exact light requirements that are gonna make this coleus happy. But the new growth is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna keep monitoring that, making sure it's getting enough shade, but I can still see it. Color Blaze series is supposed to be like a shade to sun coleus. It's supposed to be able to handle more sun than your traditional coleus. Of course, as you can tell, because we're out here midday, we get really intense sun here. It's a lot. Very different than the sunlight that I had in my old garden in Virginia. This full sun is full sun. And of course we're on a patio too. So it's like got the reflection and the heat off the concrete. It's a ton, it's a lot. So I'm not surprised that the coleus is, you know, like struggling a little bit, even though it's designed to be able to handle some more sun. Yeah, I've been keeping it in the shade, and I'm just gonna keep moving it. If it's not happy there, I'll move it again to a more shady spot. All right, and so now let's talk about the two big Trough planters and the new arch trellis that we've got up there. That was a new addition this month, and I am loving it. Totally just changes the whole look of the garden. It adds so much. Really I think if you want to add instant impact to your garden, an arch trellis might be one of the very best ways, because it just immediately adds this height and drama and fun to the garden. And so we've got the tomatoes growing up it. There's a bunch of Juliets and kind of mystery tomatoes. And then I even wove some of the bishop's flower through this. Now the bishop's flower is a little bit on the end of its run, but I think it's even pretty as it's a seed pod. But it has been so beautiful. This is one that I adore. I'm going to definitely add it into some future gardens, and it was pretty easy to grow. I started this from seed. It's done really beautifully, and it's just been so whimsical in the garden. And then of course the pincushion flowers that these are, I think are they black magic? Something like that. Pincushion flower. So pretty when they start blooming. They have these little purple, I don't even know what to call them, but these little purple things. They're so pretty. And there's a tumbler tomato in here, which is starting to produce and has been not the right tomato plant for being this low in a container, but that's okay. It's pretty happy. I do need to come out and water. As you can see, middle of the day, everything's looking a little bit hot. We've got some scallions in here that have been doing really well, and I've harvested off of. And this is the spoon tomatoes, which I really anticipate this plant getting huge. Spoon tomatoes get absolutely massive, and you can see I've got a couple. They just produce these tiny little tomatoes, perfect size for kids, kind of just like a sweet, delicious little tomato, a little bite, you know, handful of garden snacks. Oops, get that. It's just a really fun little plant. So the bed is kind of like ready to be turned over. I think we're gonna have to start doing some other things. The bishop's flower is gonna come out, but the pincushion flower still looks great. The green onions look great. The tomatoes are doing well. So we may just have to add in a few other things, because the milk thistle now I think is pretty much done for the season. And this agerantum is done too. And then the tromboncino squash that I have in this container is finally starting. I think it just maybe was waiting for the heat to really take off, because it's finally starting to put on some growth. And there's some little blooms, you know, some little buds in there. And there's actually, look at this guy, this little container cucumber. How cute is this? I think it's probably ready to harvest pretty soon. I don't think it's supposed to get that much bigger. But this little plant is just, you know, it's doing its thing. It looks a little sad, but honestly, like, it's producing. I may get my first cucumber of the season off that plant. We've got a marigold in here, and that's also doing well, and a little banana pepper that's actually got a flower on it. So this container it was like the Tromboncino kind of just hung out for a long time, and then I put in all these little misfit plants that I had, and now it's slowly coming together. And maybe one of those containers that sort of peaks toward the end of the season. I'm not sure, but I would really love to get some of these squash. So I'm really hoping that it'll produce well. And then the corn, look at this. This is the Bloody Butcher corn with the beans in front. None of my beans, I don't know what's going on. All the beans that I planted this year, the leaves kind of look pale like this, but the corn looks great, and I think it's super pretty, and it's exact effect that I wanted in that like window box container, just the line of corn. I think it's a really fun addition to the garden. It's getting, you know, I think it's right, what do they say, like knee high by the 4th of July, so I think it did it. It made it. And we've got a really pretty pink little calabacoa there. And then these are the lavender, which I need to come in and deadhead a little bit, but these are the Conga lavender calabacoas, which are just so stunning. And some more of the gold coin sunflowers that are gonna be like a dwarf size sunflower. So they are a container variety sunflower, and they're supposed to be like a teddy bear style bloom. I'm really excited. I'm really happy to see that they're looking this good. I'm really excited for them to grow up and tall, or as tall as they're gonna be, obviously. And yeah, I'm happy. You know, when you find a good container variety like that, it's really exciting. And they've just seen them do so well right from the get-go is super exciting. Oh, I need to move this. There's always something in the garden that doesn't belong. Over here on the other side of the arch trellis, we have some fun containers. Ooh, I need to water. Okay, so this is the Linaria, which is looking like it's in need of something. Either more or less water. I'm gonna have to take a look at that, but it's so pretty. I love the colors. I was really sad that the other Linaria I had died, but I'm not sure if it's one that lasts all season. But it looks like it's putting on some little seed pods. So I may have to try seeds. Okay, I'm gonna try to save some of these seeds. I need to go get something to put this in. All right, well, I know absolutely nothing about this plant. I found this Linaria at the garden center, and it was so pretty that I just had to buy it, and I really don't know anything about it as a flower. But I love that it's putting off seeds. And one of the things that I want to continue to learn as a gardener is how to seed save my own seeds from my own garden. There's always something to learn in the garden. That's what I really like. And I try to make some concrete goals for myself of what I am trying to learn and what I want to get better at. And seed saving is something I really want to get better at. This year, I'm going to make sure that I try to seed save some of my tomato seeds. If we get any squash, some peppers, like I want to actually save seeds from this garden and then do some real germination tests and some real growing tests next year and start the process of really developing those seed saving skills. So after I'm done with this video, I'm going to come out and pick a bunch of these, and I'll put them in a little bag and start my 2024 seed saving seeds, and we'll see how that goes. There is a gypsy pepper, which is like a real sweet little pepper plant. It's looking really happy in this container, and it's got a nice big pepper that we're just waiting for that to turn red. But look how cute that is. And there is a sweet little strawberry and a volunteer. Another thing that I need to do my seed saving with, a little volunteer viola. And there's another viola that volunteered over here. So those are fun. I am going to try to save seeds from those. And then the morning glories are starting to put on some new leaves. And then I'm going to hopefully have the morning glories grow up and also grow on the arch trellis. And then this pollinator container is so fun. So more Sunfinity sunflowers. You can really see the difference in when you put Sunfinity sunflowers in a smaller soil reservoir. They get about that big. When you put them in a big soil reservoir, they get that big. Really interesting to see the difference, and the difference in the over here in the Vermilion Arcufia, although it is basically the same size as the other one, which just shows that it doesn't mind being in a container quite as much, and it's looks beautiful, and it looks great next to some more of the Congo lavender calibrachoas. And there's a sweet potato vine in here, a little bit of Dusty Miller that I started from seed that is growing very slowly, but it's pretty and so soft. And so definitely one that I'm gonna grow a lot of perennials from seed next year, and I'm gonna have to do some more Dusty Miller. So those are all of the containers in front of the raised bed here, and they make a fun little combination. I really like the look of all that. And then inside this raised bed, I've talked about this a bit, but we've got some beans that I just planted here in this trellis. We've got sunburst patty fan squash. This is glass gem corn. There's a sunflower. I think it's an autumn something sunflower. We have the dahlia. There's a cute little bachelor buttons and a bunch of tomatoes. There's sun golds on here. There are black from Tula. There's some Juliettes, and they have started to make their way up the trellis, and that is exciting. Hopefully the tomatoes are just going to cover this whole trellis. That is the plan for the end of the season, to have the whole thing covered. Hopefully I am going to come out and water after this video. We are getting into some serious hot summer days, and we might be getting to a time when we do like 2 a day watering. But yeah, so this trough has been a little bit tricky for me. I've had some, well, as you can see, mixed success. The tomatoes look good, the squash does not look good, and I've talked about it a lot, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I've been trying to balance all of that, and we'll see how it goes. But over here I've got a fun little collection of plants. So this is the salvia that got chopped off, and it has regrown back to the size that it was when it got broken, and this is the unplugged pink, and it is such a pretty salvia. And then we got black petunias and a cute little dahlia, and there's the ruby moon, hyacinth bean vine. We've got agastaki, some blue spice basil, some more corn, just, you know, a fun little collection of flowers, and everything's doing pretty well. I've really been liking it. I may come in as room sort of as I get more room in some of the bigger containers. I got another big container that I might take apart some of these and put them together into a new container, because I don't like love this look completely, but the plants are all beautiful and they're all doing well, so I'm not in a super hurry to change it around too much. And it's a cute little focal point in the back of the garden, just to have a little collection of pots and the little bird's house. And you can see the sunflowers. So these are the Mammoth sunflowers, and they're doing their thing. All along here, there's glass gem corn too, and the Mammoth sunflowers, and then another Trombonsino squash. And look at that. It's looking good. So we may have, oh, and some zinnias too. There's some of the canary bird zinnias. So we may have a really nice little display. I wasn't sure how the plantings in this little tiny in-ground space were going to do, but they seem to actually be doing okay. I mean, I think they look all right. So next month, hopefully, we'll have some more sunflowers. And that is the June garden. The wind is starting to pick up. We're getting into the afternoon here. You can probably hear the neighbors out. It's just a beautiful day. Not too warm, but this weekend we're supposed to get a ton of heat. So I'm kind of, bracing myself for that. And I got to stay on top of the watering. And I still have those bean seeds that I planted in this container, and I cannot let them dry out. I've got to stay on top of that. But anyways, that is all for now. Thank you so much for spending a little time out in the June garden with me, and stay tuned. We'll see how everything changes as we get toward July. Thanks again. Bye-bye.